The 6 terrifying archaeological discoveries that shocked scientists, ancient mysteries still unsolved. Welcome back to Ancient History, the place where we dive deep into ancient mysteries that challenge all modern understanding. Dear friends, since the dawn of time, we humans have carried a burning curiosity about the past. Who among us hasn't wondered, how did our ancestors live? Or, what hidden stories lie behind these ancient ruins? Despite countless excavations and studies, it seems that the fog of history refuses to lift completely. Today, we're embarking on a journey not for the faint of heart. We'll explore perfectly preserved skeletons that have survived for thousands of years, baffling archaeologists and sending chills down their spines. We'll examine mysterious cave drawings, so strange that no one to this day can decipher their hidden messages. And we'll uncover cursed tombs, believed to bring misfortune to anyone who dares disturb them. All of this is real and has left the scientific world scratching their heads. Are you ready to turn the dusty pages of history with me? To uncover discoveries so chilling they'll make your spine tingle? If so, let's dive right into our first discovery. The 80 shackled skeletons and the strange mass execution in a Greek tomb. If there's any place where time seems to stand still, where untold stories and restless souls remain, it must be ancient tombs. And to kick off today's video, we'll dive into a shocking archaeological discovery. A mass grave deep underground in Greece, where 80 human skeletons were found, all with their hands bound in shackles. Sounds chilling already, doesn't it? But the mystery doesn't stop there. These remains weren't just discovered in chains. According to experts, these individuals were not common criminals or slaves, as many might assume. In fact, they were buried with clear signs of respect, neatly arranged in an orderly layout. This is in stark contrast to how ancient societies typically disposed of the bodies of executed criminals. The excavation took place at the ancient Palermo Delta Cemetery, a vast area located between modern-day central Athens and the port of Piraeus, once the main commercial gateway of ancient Greece. This stunning find came to light during the construction of a new opera house and library. Classic case of dig anywhere, find something, except what they found was far from ordinary. In a rare move, archaeologists allowed journalists to visit the dig site. The scene they witnessed was haunting. Skeletons lying side by side, some stacked on top of one another, with jaws agape, as if many were still screaming in their final moments. Most of the individuals were young adults, and initial examinations revealed they were in good health before death, a suspicious detail that has left researchers puzzled. So, who were they? Why were they executed? And why were they buried like people of status? No definitive answers yet, but one widely supported theory suggests they may have been followers of Cylon, a political figure who attempted a coup in Athens in 632 BCE. With backing from his father-in-law, the tyrant of Megara, Cylon tried to seize control of the city. The rebellion failed, and while Cylon managed to escape to the Acropolis, his followers, possibly these 80 individuals, were captured and executed. Dr. Stella Chrysoulaki, the lead archaeologist, explained, "They were all executed using the same method, but they were buried with respect." This only deepens the mystery. Could this have been more than a mass execution? Possibly a political statement or even an ancient ritual we still don't fully understand? Anthropologists are continuing to study their DNA and bone structures to determine exact causes of death. To date, over 1,500 skeletons have been unearthed at the Palermo Delta Cemetery, including infants buried in ceramic pots, adults who were cremated, and others laid to rest in stone coffins. This site is not just a final resting place, it's a living history book of an entire civilization. And who knows, among those cold, dry bones may lie a world-shaking secret the modern world has yet to uncover. Do you believe it? The bizarre mummy in Peru that looks exactly like an alien. If you think mummies are just carefully preserved bodies tucked away in Egyptian pyramids or tombs, you're about to think again. Because in a remote region deep within the Andes Mountains of Peru, something was discovered. Something that might change everything we thought we knew about humanity. Or perhaps, about what once lived on this planet. It all happened in 2011, in the small town of Andahuaylilas. The name alone evokes the rich cultural spirit of the Inca, doesn't it? That year, a researcher named Renato Davila Riquelme unearthed a mummy so strange it left both archaeologists and scientists stunned. Not because of its age, but because of its completely unhuman-like appearance. Its skull was nearly 20 inches long, longer than any known human skull ever recorded. Meanwhile, the body was tiny, about the size of a newborn baby. But don't be quick to assume this was simply the remains of an infant with a rare medical condition, because the deeper the experts looked, the weirder it got. The mummy had fully developed front teeth, but no molars, a strange combination. Its eye sockets were unusually large, almost as if they could hypnotize anyone who stared into them. Even stranger, the soft spot on the skull, the fontanelle, was still open, a feature typically only seen in infants under 12 months old. But if it was a baby, why did it already have fully grown front teeth, and how do you explain a skull that long? Faced with so many unanswerable questions, Riquelme didn't stay silent. He invited 3 renowned anthropologists from Spain and Russia to Peru to examine the mummy firsthand. They didn't just observe the shape, they conducted in-depth scientific analyses. And then came a shocking announcement. This being cannot be classified as a human as we know it. So what exactly was it? An undiscovered ancient species? A genetic mutation the world has never seen? Or, as the internet quickly speculated, was it an extraterrestrial? It may sound like science fiction, but even the experts had to admit, the biological features of this mummy do not match any known human species. In fact, they proposed extracting samples from the preserved eyeball tissue still in the socket to run DNA tests, hoping it might finally reveal the true identity of this being. But here's the strangest part. That DNA result was never released. That's right, total silence. No report, no scientific publication, no explanation. So why keep it a secret? Could the results have revealed something too shocking to accept? Something that might challenge everything we thought we knew about human history? The questions remain unanswered. As you can see, the story of the Andahuaylilas mummy isn't just an archaeological mystery. It's a powerful reminder that we still know so little about the planet we live on. Who knows what else lies buried beneath our feet, waiting to be uncovered, waiting to rewrite history? So what do you think? Was this an alien, an unknown life form, or just an ancient medical anomaly? As for me, whatever it is, one thing is certain. This story is far from over. Let's stay tuned and wait for the experts to finally reveal the truth. A 4,000-year-old Chinese tomb reveals chilling rituals. Have you ever imagined that more than 4,000 years ago, when humankind was still struggling to understand the world around them, people in a remote region of northwestern China were already performing rituals so disturbing, even the bravest today might shudder just hearing about them? Well, it's no longer just imagination. An archaeological excavation near the village of Mogu has brought these chilling truths into the open, raw, cold, and almost too eerie to believe. In this area, hundreds of ancient tombs were discovered, scattered across a vast expanse. But not all of them were the same. Among them, archaeologists found a series of particularly haunting tombs belonging to the Chijia people, an ancient culture that once thrived in this region. The most disturbing part? Many of the remains belonged to teenagers, around 13 years old, and they were believed to have died as human sacrifices. Yes, sacrificed. Not victims of disease, not casualties of war, but deliberately taken lives, likely in the name of some religious or spiritual belief. But why were they chosen? Why children? To this day, no one has a clear answer. The deeper researchers dug, the more unsettling the discoveries became. Next to each body was a small hollow, where the ancients had placed handcrafted pottery, believed to be ritual offerings or objects with spiritual significance. What's even more striking is that family members were often buried together, all facing northwest, as if following some mysterious tradition not recorded in any known historical texts. The sacrificed individuals were found in fetal-like positions, their limbs curled, faces turned toward the pottery niches. Were they seeking protection from ancestral spirits, or trembling in fear of an unknown afterlife? In some tombs, experts also discovered necklaces, weapons, and intricately carved pottery, all remarkably well preserved after 4,000 years. These weren't mere decorations. They were living testaments to a complex civilization, one where people were willing to offer lives in service of faith, power, and the elite. The act of human sacrifice is unfortunately not unfamiliar in Chinese history, especially during the Shang dynasty, infamous for its blood-chilling rituals. Records state that when a high-ranking official died, dozens, Even hundreds of slaves, prisoners of war, and even women and children would be killed and buried with them, along with dogs, horses, and other animals, to serve them in the afterlife. The more noble the individual, the more people died to follow them into the underworld. A strange kind of glory that at the time was seen as tradition. It's hard to wrap our heads around the brutality of such practices. But thanks to these ancient tombs, we now have a chance to look directly into one of the darkest corners of human history, a time when faith, power, and death were deeply intertwined in terrifying ways. So, would you dare to stare into the empty eye sockets of a 4,000-year-old skeleton? Because behind that silent gaze lies a story still waiting to be uncovered, a story you won't soon forget once you've heard it. As for me, I already have chills just thinking about it. 1,284 mummies beneath Palermo, the creepiest catacomb in Europe. In the heart of the ancient city of Palermo, Sicily, Italy, there is a place so unsettling that even the bravest souls might hesitate to enter. Not because of desolate landscapes or crumbling architecture, but because it holds the silent gaze of over 1,000 mummified bodies lying undisturbed for hundreds of years. Welcome to the Capuchin Catacombs, one of the largest and most mysterious mummy collections in all of Europe. Originally, this crypt was reserved exclusively for Capuchin monks, but over time, it expanded to become a burial site not just for clergy, but also for members of the middle and upper classes of society. What makes it extraordinary isn't just the sheer number of preserved bodies, but the way they were preserved. Not simply mummified, but ceremonially prepared in a way that reflects deep beliefs about life, death, and social status in that era. As you step inside the catacombs, you feel transported into another world, a damp, cold, and musty place where death feels almost alive. Along the stone walls lie more than 1,284 mummies, carefully arranged in a variety of positions, some standing, others seated, many resting as if peacefully asleep. Among them are 163 children, and it's this fact that makes the place even more haunting. These mummies aren't just skeletal remains. Many are fully dressed in their original clothing, monk robes, military uniforms, hand-embroidered dresses. Just by looking at their garments, you can often guess what era they lived in, what role they played in society, and even their social class. Men are kept separate from women. Children are not buried alongside adults. Monks are placed in isolation. The layout clearly reflects the strict religious beliefs and social hierarchies of the time. One of the most famous mummies here is Rosalia Lombardo, a little girl who died in 1920 at just 2 years old from pneumonia during the Spanish flu epidemic. Thanks to a proprietary embalming technique by Alfredo Salafia, her body remains nearly intact to this day. Her skin still rosy, her hair soft, and her eyes gently closed as if she's simply sleeping. Many call her the sleeping beauty of the catacombs. And truly, even the toughest hearts are moved, both emotionally and eerily, by her presence. But not all the mummies were preserved with such care. Many other bodies, especially the children, are completely anonymous. No one knows who they were, why they were placed here, or what earned them the honor of being mummified like adults. Some theories suggest they were children of middle-class families, but the exact cause of death and the reason for their preservation remain unanswered questions. Questions that, thankfully, may soon be answered. Dr. Kirsty Squires and a research team from Staffordshire University are now working to unlock these secrets. Using modern technology, they aim to determine the age, gender, and even potential illnesses of the mummified children, hoping to uncover the truth behind these nameless faces resting in the cold earth. As you can see, the Capuchin Catacombs are far more than just a creepy mummy museum. They're a living history book, a reflection of how people once viewed death, glory, faith, and immortality. Each mummy tells a story, not through words, but through vacant eyes, frozen postures, and the clothing they chose to wear into eternity. So let me ask you, would you dare to walk through the stone doors and meet the 1,284 gazes from beyond the grave? If so, I'd say a trip to Italy might just be your kind of adventure. A 3,200-year-old trepanned skull unearthed. At an ancient burial ground in eastern Turkey, the dry earth has recently revealed a long-buried secret dating back 3,200 years. It's not a treasure trove of gold and silver, nor a statue of a forgotten deity, but a human skull with a hole drilled into it. Yes, you heard that right. a prehistoric brain surgery that still baffles both archaeologists and medical experts today. This extraordinary find was announced on November 12, 2022, in Van Province, a region in eastern Turkey known for its deep historical layers. During an excavation at an ancient cemetery, a research team led by Dr. Gulan Ayaz from Van Yüzüncü University uncovered this unusual skull. It may well be compelling evidence of a cranial surgery performed with a technique so ancient it likely didn't even have a name back then. Now, you might be wondering, why would someone drill a hole in another person's skull? Well, that's where the story gets fascinating. According to what archaeologists have gathered over the years, cranial drilling, also known as trepanation, was not uncommon in the ancient world. It might have served religious, spiritual, or even medicinal purposes. Some historical sources suggest that people believed drilling a hole could release negative spirits or drive away evil entities from the body of the afflicted. It sounds far-fetched now, but it was a widely held belief across many ancient cultures. On the other hand, some argue it may have been a form of initiation or enlightenment ritual, spiritual procedures intended to bring individuals closer to the divine or the cosmos. Of course, the more medically plausible theory is that trepanation was performed to relieve intracranial pressure, treat head trauma, remove tumors, or even to alleviate migraines. But the toughest question remains: did the person survive the procedure? From a modern scientific perspective, that's not easy to answer. Although the drilled section of the Van skull appears neat and clean, it doesn't necessarily mean the individual survived. Experts note that if the bone around the hole shows no signs of healing, it's highly likely the person died during or shortly after the operation. Let's recall the case of the Incas, which we've explored in many previous studies. This ancient South American civilization performed hundreds of similar procedures, and many patients survived. In 2018, a group of American scientists analyzed hundreds of skulls from Peru, dating from around 400 BCE to the 16th century, and found that evidence of bone healing was the clearest indicator of survival and recovery. However, with the skull found in Van, things remain unclear. There isn't enough data to determine whether the person lived on after the surgery, and it's even harder to say whether the procedure was spiritual, medical, or ritualistic in nature. Perhaps it will remain an unsolved mystery, just one of countless silent questions buried along with human history. Still, this discovery has expanded our understanding of ancient medicine and left us wondering, how far were our ancestors willing to go in their quest to heal or to save the soul? And if you think only modern medicine is capable of operating on the human brain, think again. Over 3 millennia ago, someone took that risk, using primitive tools and fueled by a powerful belief in life, death, and the sacred. Remarkable, isn't it? Sacrificial skeleton, covered in crystals, found in cave. Have you ever imagined that deep beneath the earth, in the cold, dark silence of a flooded cave, there might exist a mysterious world where people once offered up their lives to the gods? This next story takes us to exactly such a place, Akton Tunichil Muknal Cave, more commonly and curiously known as OTM, located deep within the Tapir Mountain Nature Reserve in central Belize. But this is no ordinary tourist cave. Inside, archaeologists uncovered one of the most chilling discoveries of the modern era: the skeletal remains of a Maya teenager, entirely encrusted with glittering calcite crystals, shimmering as if cloaked in an ancient curse yet to be revealed. At first, researchers believed the remains belonged to a woman in her 20s, as the skeleton lay on its back with its mouth wide open, as if still screaming from the afterlife. Because of this haunting appearance, the remains were given a striking nickname: the Crystal Maiden. However, upon closer examination, the truth was uncovered. The remains belonged to a 17-year-old boy, sacrificed more than 1,100 years ago. What makes the skeleton even more remarkable are 2 broken ribs, clear signs that death likely came through violent means before the body was thrown to the cave floor, where it lay undisturbed for over a millennium. The crystalline coating over the bones is the result of natural calcification in the damp, mineral-rich cave environment, turning the boy into a vivid monument of the past. And the Crystal Maiden is not alone. Just a few feet away lie 13 other sets of remains, ranging from infants less than a year old to fully grown adults. Each skeleton was found in a different position, some tucked into rock crevices, others lying in open spaces, and some placed beside ancient pottery, musical instruments, stone carvings, and fragments of old jewelry. The ancient Maya believed that deep caves were gateways to Xibalba, the underworld of fear and darkness, ruled by malevolent spirits. To appease these unseen forces, they conducted gruesome sacrificial rituals, choosing the youngest and strongest among them to offer to the gods dwelling in the shadows. But there's more. At Oktun Tunichil Muknal, archaeologists also found traces of altars, carvings of human faces, animals, and mysterious symbols etched into the stone walls. These artifacts are also encrusted with minerals, almost frozen in time, as if the cave itself had transformed into a natural museum, preserving the final moments of a lost civilization. One detail continues to haunt researchers. The rise in Maya sacrificial rituals coincided with a prolonged and severe drought in the late 9th century, the very period during which the Maya Empire began to collapse. Could the fear of famine, starvation, or divine abandonment have driven people to such despair that they turned to killing their own in hopes of mercy? Today, Oktun Tunichil Muknal remains one of the most untouched cave systems in the world, where everything lies just as it was left. No glass cases, no barriers. Everything remains raw, bare, and cold. The story of the crystal teenager and the Maya sacrificial cave doesn't just chill the spine. It reminds us of the fragile line between faith and desperation, between humanity and what lies beyond understanding. And to this day, deep beneath the ground in Belize, those mysteries remain unsolved. And that brings us to the end of the 6 most mysterious and chilling archaeological discoveries we've explored together today. Each story not only opens a vibrant chapter of human history, but also reminds us of the wonders and mysteries that still surround our existence. From strange skeletal remains to haunting relics of the past, these discoveries have challenged our imagination and stirred our curiosity. We didn't just witness ancient artifacts, we felt the pain, the joy, and the secrets our ancestors left behind. These findings remind us that, no matter how far we've come, there are still things that lie beyond human understanding. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the eerie and the unknown. Be sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next videos, where we'll continue uncovering fascinating stories from the past. For now, take care, and I'll see you next time.